we are going to talk to Christy about her latest cruise on the Disney Fantasy, leaving out of beautiful Port Canaveral, one of 200 that she's got booked this year.
No.
Let's just jump into it, Christy. Give everybody an overview of what this cruise did, because originally I think that, everybody knows the Fantasy normally sails 7 days. So it wasn't a 7-day. Kind of give them an overview of the cruise, where you guys went and who all went.
Yeah. So the Fantasy, like Steve said, is supposed to sail 7 days, but they're doing 2 months or something like that, 7 weeks, 6 weeks worth of 4-night cruises. And what's really unique is for the crew, it's amazing. They're doing 4-night cruises, and then they're taking 3 days off, and then they do the next 4-night cruise on Saturday again. So it is just a very unique circumstance. Cruising was Dave and Blake and myself. And this was the cruise that Disney basically hosted us on. So I did have to pay taxes and gratuities for Dave and Blake, but I mean, amazing. It was just so amazing to be given this opportunity. And it's definitely something I hope can happen again. And nothing else happened on board. I mean, obviously nothing else needs to happen, but that was it. Just that they wanted us to come and experience it. And I'm so glad I went. This time of year for cruising, there are definitely people out there that might just have a negative thought about having to wear a face mask on the cruise, or that things are different. But some of the things that are different are so wonderful, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. And the crew are so amazing. And it's such a amazing feeling to be back on board and back on a Disney ship. So it's pretty magical.
Thoughts there, Chris?
I mean, it's not very long before I get to go on one. So I'm excited to hear what your experiences were like on the Fantasy. I think the Fantasy is my favorite. Honestly, I have a thing about new things. I like new things.
Same.
So it's not that I don't like the classic ships, and they are always refreshing them with new stuff. So it's not like, there isn't really cool stuff to see on all of the ships, but I do think that the Fantasy is my favorite because she sails long itineraries usually. She's so new and sparkly. So all of those things. And I probably am going to like the Wish as my favorite after I go on that one. I'll reserve my right. And it's not to say that I'm not critical of some new things, but typically if there's a new experience, I want to try it. So the Fantasy is currently my favorite. We'll see. So I'm excited to hear about this. On this particular cruise, did you get to choose your stateroom?
Definitely didn't. And I would never have chosen the stateroom that I received as a lovely gift from Disney. So for our listeners, now one of our listeners responded that they loved deck 10, which is the deck that I was given, which was really great. And I actually, for the Dream, I have a guaranteed state room booked, and we're on deck 10, but a different location. So I'm hoping that makes a difference. But deck 10 is below the pool deck and cabanas. And the area where we were, I think, was like the edge of where maybe people would go up the stairs to get to the aqueduct. And there was so much pounding and so much banging and so much noise. So it is not a location I would pick ever again.
So deck 10, is that like deck 8 on the Magic and the Wonder, where it's right underneath the pool deck, basically? So did you get the chair noises as well?
Yeah, there wasn't as much chair noise action, which is good. Like that didn't continue. It was more stomping feet. Oh, and then somebody was wearing like heels one night that was walking through. So you got all of that.
It's probably Cinderella or Minnie.
Maybe, who I would love to have seen. Maybe not her feet. I think my specific cabin was 174. So 10074. I'm almost positive. So something to keep in mind if somebody is picking a cabin, to perhaps not choose that one. But the cabin was huge, so that was nice.
Were you able to book anything ahead of time, I guess, or because you kind of found out about this last minute? Was there anything that you wanted to book ahead of time?
I wanted to book Palo in the kids club time slots, and we were not, well, we could have booked Palo at 8:30 at night. So no brunch and could have been booked. And I couldn't book at my reasonable eating hour. So 8:30 would have been way too late for us to start a meal. So we got on board. The Palo people show up at 4. So what I've been doing for these last minute bookings, so this is great for our listeners who don't, maybe you're a newer cruiser and aren't able to get Palo and you would like to, add yourself to the wait list. You can call guest services right now. They'll send a message to Palo. But then what I also did, so that, you're in line, so to speak, to get a spot. What I also did was at 4:00, when the Palo people show up at their little desk to work, at the host desk, at the Palo and Remy desk, I just show up. That's my new thing. I just show up and I'm like, yes, I'm stalking you. We left a message. I appreciate you talking to me. Can I get into Palo? And so I think we got some random night for Palo. And then they gave me, and then we called and said, oh, I think we got the night we wanted, which was pirate night. And then, but we got like 7. And we said, that's fine. Thank you very much. She goes, if you want 6 or 6:30, I'll add you to the wait list. And we said, yes. And I think we got 6 eventually. She called us that day and said, whatever, the day that we were going to dinner. Oh, we have a 6:00. Do you want it? Yes. So we were able to get that.
Was it easy to get a kids club time for Blake then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we really, so the one thing that was different about the kids club too is that they were very particular that you had to come and check out your kid and check them back in at their end of their session. So however long their kids club slot was that day, it's either an hour and a half or 2.5 hours. You had to go and get them. That night, I believe it was only an hour and a half. Well, it was. And so we weren't going to be able to finish our dinner. I would have loved to finish my dinner, but Palo doesn't work that way. So the dinner wasn't going to be finished in an hour and a half. So what we did is we made a second kids club time. So Dave had to run down. He checked him out and then checked him right back in and then came up and we ate our souffles after that. Our souffles that were like cake. Maybe that's, so your lemon tart probably would have been better that night. And so the dinner was amazing as usual. We got the charcuterie plate this time and just paid out of pocket for it. I'm talking about Paul now, but I'm going to switch that conversation. And dinner was amazing. Service was still amazing, but the souffle was definitely better on the Dream and or maybe any other time at Palo that week because ours just really overcooked. They offered to bring us back the next night, but I paid out of pocket for Dave's. So in the future, I'm going to be like, thanks for offering to bring me back. I'm not coming back, but can I also not pay for Dave's souffle? Because it was chocolate cake. But it was fine. It was really good. The whole dinner was really good.
So we got one question from Becky. She asks, does that work for brunch too, do you think, as far as going up early to talk to him at the desk?
It's going to be your best shot. And what they'll do is and so I was shaking my head, yes, but not everybody is visually seeing us. So sorry about that, guys. So yes, your best option is going to be to get yourself on their wait list because people will cancel or they will have had too much sun one day or whatever, right? Their situation is, they change their mind, they get seasick, whatever, and they just decide not to go. So definitely put yourself on the wait list.
They see what's being served at Cabanas and they say, skip it. Skip brunch. We'll do Cabanas.
No, nobody's doing that.
The thing is, Palo is the place on the ship to get like fresh, hot, made just for you meal that has no whiff of a wedding banquet meal. It is a fresh, amazing experience. So I would say for us, Palo ends up being a must once on the ship, just so that we feel like we did like a fancy, nicer restaurant. And if ever possible, we will go on that pirate night, because that pirate menu.
And it's gotten worse. There used to be like wings on that menu, because the first night, or on the Dream, because it was the 3-night cruise, we didn't get the pirate menu. And this time I was like, well, what if we don't get our reservation, or we end up having to eat in the restaurant? We looked at the menu. It was, for me, it was a tough sell to eat what they were serving. Like, as an allergy person, no, because every restaurant was serving that. I was like, I could order from a different restaurant, but every restaurant was selling it. So honestly, it was the perfect night. Like, they used to have pot stickers. They don't have those anymore. I think they used to have wings. I didn't see that on the menu.
Yeah, the thing is, for me, it really is scary, because that night they put like plantains with everything.
Oh, yeah.
And because I have an allergy that's so specific, bananas, plantains, things like that, that's just like, I don't want to mess with it. I just would rather not have that wafting through the air around me. So I'll go. But on my cruise on the Wonder on Halloween, I actually don't know what night pirate night is. So I just had to make an educated guess. I think it will be the 3rd night, which is like when we're leaving Cabo. But I can't know for sure. So I'm just thinking it will be. And if it isn't, then like I may move my reservations or something. And because we haven't cruised in almost 2 years, we're doing brunch and dinner, because Palo.
Good for you. I'm jealous. They did say, at least for gluten allergies, that Palo, especially on the Dream, is having a rough time right now for brunch. So just something to keep in mind.
Lake says hi, and cheers, Lake. Hopefully you have a good night at work. He may see you tomorrow. Yeah.
Yes, we are going to hopefully meet up this weekend, I'm hoping.
So what did you do different on this cruise versus the Dream? Or what different activities did you guys do?
Blake and I did this pirate game. It was like Talk Like a Pirate or something like that. Pirate Talk or Pirate something. I don't know, something with pirate. And it was in the D Lounge. So for families, kids, right? But I think grownups could do it. So they have you participate in teams against each other. So there was one family that was a team. And then the only other people in there were Blake and I. So then I guess we were a team. And then I thought Blake would have to do things. But I, in fact, had to do things. I had to participate, you guys. So we had to do this, like, I had to clean the floor. I was a professional at that, by the way, with the scooting, on towels. It was like we were swabbing the deck, right? But Blake and I won, which I'm very excited about. I was very competitive. Definitely did not want to participate in this pirate night extravaganza at all. But I wanted to take Blake, and he was very excited. And so therefore I got to participate. And by the time I was forced into participation, I was competitive. So, and then there was like a coin toss, and there was another thing. It was a very cute it's great for families and people who like participation and contest. If there were 2 grown-up men, I don't know what they would, or 2 grown-ups, I don't know how they would, if like you would be like teamed up with another team or how that would go, but whatever. So we also did craft time. I wanted to do it several times because I had seen some other people posting, and I think we only made it there once, but our particular craft time, the crew, I think we were talking about this before we started recording, were so amazing. And so the lady that we had, Blake and I were like 5 minutes late. I swear we were 5 minutes late for everything. But in our room steward, we almost never spoke to, and he was fabulous. And we even tipped him a bunch extra because he did all these great things for us, but we never got to talk to him because we were always late, like always running somewhere and needing to get there in time. But so we did crafts, Blake and I, and this particular one was like you cut out something and we made like the little green aliens, but it was like you cut on the line. I don't know. It was fine. But before we left, like we were finishing making our little paper alien, the lady gave us like a ton of extra. And there was another single lady there who got basically maybe similar items than I think we got more than she did though, and she was gone. But she gave us a bunch of extra crafts to take and to do on our own, like back in here in Florida. So like the little cutout papers, we got a Captain Mickey, we got a cruise ship. I can't describe it. I don't know how to describe it, but you essentially cut on lines that they put and you fold and you turn it into something.
It's a 3D. It comes out 3D because we did the ship. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
yeah, those are pretty cool that they have. They're tough though. I mean, I'm not very precise, I guess, with that type of stuff. So mine never come out looking quite as good. Blake and I would be perfect partners in that. I feel like in the D Lounge, most of those things are more geared towards families. Really?
Yeah, this was not in the D Lounge though.
No. I mean, just going back to the pirate thing, as far as like, I don't know if too many adults just kind of wander in there and do those things. I think it's more kind of a family thing, don't you? I mean, I'm not trying to exclude adults.
That particular pirate activity was definitely for kids.
Okay.
And if there were more kids in there, I think they would have put him on a team with Blake. But because it was one family with a bunch of kids and Blake, I was his partner.
Gotcha. Anything else that you guys did this time that you haven't done in the past?
Well, not that we haven't done this in the past, but we did sit in the little pool, the little tiny Mickey pool, and watched Funnel Vision. Like I had run one day of the cruise. So, and man, did I text you guys? So the one, I have to see if this is a fleet-wide difference, but masks were required in the gym, which was fine, but I didn't want to run 2 miles on the treadmill with a mask on. And it was a little bit later though, so I kind of did want that air conditioning, and maybe I should have just done it. But I went out to the deck. We were parked at Castaway, which is actually a beautiful way because the ship isn't moving. So you're not dealing with a rocking ship while you're running. But then they were doing the drills. So then we lost, that quarter of the ship where they block it off. So my laps were all messed up, but it was really beautiful to get to run staring at Castaway. So I did my run one day, but I did it out there instead of in the gym because I didn't feel like wearing a mask. Like I obviously totally fine, but was odd to me that 3 weeks before on the Dream during the vaccinated section of gym time that no masks were required. And now they're testing people and everybody's vaccinated and masks are required. Fine. It's fine. So I went down, Blake and Dave went up to do the aqueduct. And then, and I think they also wanted to do before we left to get off the ship, that Donald's nephew's splash pad. But I think it was closed then. So they had to do it later, but that was their goal. So then when I finished, I basically just finished my run and kind of jumped in the kid pool because I was hot. So then they were done on the aqueduct. They came down and jumped in the kids pool. And we all sat and watched The Little Mermaid. It was so fun, like the rest of The Little Mermaid, because, it was halfway done or something.
Never have I ever been in a kids pool on a Disney ship.
What?
Yeah, I have never gone into the main pool on a Disney ship because the soup is so kid-like that it's like, it's just awkward for a childless parent to just be like, hey kids, let me hop on into the pool. And so I spend my time in the Serenity zone, which, is fine. But those pools do look nice. I've never gotten to experience Funnel Vision because of that. I mean, obviously I've watched things on Funnel Vision, but I've never had the full, I'm in a pool, I'm watching a movie, isn't this fun sort of thing.
Well, now when you go on the Wonder, you should look to experience it because it's not Kid Soup because there's a limit. So there were 13 children allowed. And when they would which I did ask the lifeguard eventually because a couple of kids, were just piling in. And Dave and I would never have sat in that pool if children needed to be in the pool. Like my kid could sit in there and swim or play. He can't swim in there probably, but play by himself because it was deep it wasn't deep, right? It was the Mickey pool. So we could sit on the floor and our head was out of the water. So it was perfect to watch Funnel Vision on, but it was 13 kids. And when it got to 12, they had another lifeguard come over and stand guard. And then I think at one point there was 13. and they completely rope off the pool, and they would have to like take the ropes off for you to leave the pool. They also make you hand sanitize when you get in the pool. So, but you literally like hand sanitize and jump right in the pool. So whatever. But, good efforts, I suppose, on their parts. And maybe if you're touching the thing to walk down the steps, that's good. And kids, germs. So I think those were the main things that we did differently.
So you want to go into a little controversy?
Yeah.
All right. Twitter blew up yesterday, 2 days ago. I don't know. I was flying around with the key to the world card controversy that they took the dining rotation off of it, and now you have to go on the app. So I don't really care about that so much. I think that I mean, somebody else made a really good point of the fact that, like, what if you change your dining time anyways? And so I can't remember, somebody did.
It was me. I'll take credit because it was, but I'm sure other people have said it, which is just that I've changed my dining time, and then your card is wrong for the rest of the cruise. So it's like,
what do you think that was the reason? It can't have been because Chris changes his dining rotation mid-cruise. But I will say, before we answer what their motivation was, I mean, is it that much ink? It's not that much ink. But we didn't have the dining rotation on our fantasy cards. They were already not on there.
So my point is not to belabor the controversy. That my point is more like, how does it work now? So for you to find your dining time, you go on the app. And then I think that people should also know that you don't necessarily, everybody doesn't come at 7:00. It gives you a time to come, right? So can you kind of talk about that, Christy, how it works?
Yeah. So what time does first seating typically start? 5:30. And on both cruises that I've done this since the restart, I've had a time on my either Key to the World card or in the app. And you just open up your like daily planner, the navigator in the app, and it tells you what time to show up at the restaurant so that everybody's not lining up to show up at the same time. Although I think I pointed this out in my last trip report. On our first night, we went when they told us to, but our waiter said on the Dream, please don't come at that time. Just come, and you guys need to like follow the rules. And unless your waiter tells you to come at the right time or at whatever, but do whatever your card says, unless your waiter tells you otherwise, right? But he told us, please come earlier. It'll make it all go more smoothly for you. So we're like, okay. But then the second time we came at the time that our card said, which was either like 5:35 or 5:45. So that's when we would show up for dinner, and the app would just tell us where to go. And it was so funny because we were like, I don't know, it was maybe 5:15 and we were getting ready to leave and like walk around like our cabin to go to dinner. So we wanted to look for characters and things like that. And then we were like, well, where are we going to dinner? What time do we have to be there? So we looked at our card and there was nothing on it. So we were like, And then Dave goes, oh, I saw it in our app. So we, pulled it out, and it was literally like the last minute when we even looked at all to see where we were going for dinner. And then it was weird too, just for the people who are left to cruise the Fantasy before they go to a 7-night. And this might be important for the rest of the cruises too. They were doing like restaurant A, restaurant B, then restaurant B again, and then restaurant C. Like they didn't.
That's a 4-night. That's why I booked the Palo on the 3rd night, because usually they double up in the middle so that you go to Pirate Night on that 2nd night. And the reason is because they don't want you to experience that restaurant made over for pirates before you experience it the way it's intended to be experienced. So, like my ideal rotation would be, usually it would be Animators last. But I think for this next Wonder trip, I would want it to be Tiana's last, because I want to experience Tiana's as my like finale night or whatever. But either way, that is what happens on 4 nights. It's just you don't go on many 4 nights.
I don't think I've been on any 4 nights. I was literally thinking about that while I sat here. I've been on the Dream on a 3-night, and I've been on a couple of 5 nights. Maybe 3 5-nights. I don't think I've ever been on a 4-night before. I have to think about that. Go on.
So I get two kind of overall questions too. So let's kind of go back to Pirate Night. So basically, Pirate Night for people who they may have the dinner, but there's no pirate deck party or anything like that. So for the most part, it's just your opportunity if you want to dress up like a pirate and get a dinner like a pirate. There's really nothing more than that, right?
No, and right now for October, it's Halloween on the High Seas as well.
And I wanted to talk about that too.
So Pirate Night and Halloween on the High Seas is the same night.
Okay.
So during this post restart time, Pirate Night has that other fireworks show, and it's got like this cute Mickey head on the funnel vision, and they show that, and this is not during Halloween on the high seas time. They show that, and then they do the cute little firework thing, and then that's kind of it. And I think they say like, we're here, this is fun. But on Halloween on the High Seas, they do the costume deck party where you're still standing on your little dots around the deck. And there's one time of this costume, like the characters come out in their Halloween costumes. And it's a dance party thing. There's one time for first seating, one time for second seating. But the fireworks are after all of that at 10:30 at night.
I think what you mean is the fireworks are in the middle of the night.
Definitely the middle of the night. We were definitely all in bed. We were not sleeping. And I did peek out my window with the big giant overhang. We couldn't see anything. But we did not go up and watch them.
So just to understand it, so on the 3 night, it's the same thing too, where they do Pirate Night and Halloween in the same day, and it makes it for kind of a hectic day for if you want to try and take all of that in. What else did they do for Halloween on the High Seas?
Did they do the
Halloween tree show in the lobby? Did they do that by any chance? No. So it's really just the deck party.
Right. And they did do some sort of story reading.
Okay.
Because that was in the Navigator.
Okay.
But I think we were at Palo when that happened. So Blake was in the kids club.
Did they do Nightmare Before Christmas stuff?
They did show that I believe in the theater.
And then what about trick-or-treating? Were people able to trick-or-treat? No trick-or-treating either. Okay.
The cabins that have children in it, and literally this is only for the cabins with children, which I think I wish they would do it for everybody, get a bag with some candy in it.
It's a weird choice. Disney adults are just giant versions of children, so they will be delighted. They will be delighted by trick-or-treat candy just as much as a child would in their have you seen the Disney adults who go to Oogie Boogie Bash or Mickey's and they bring like tarp size IKEA bags and just like throw the chocolate in there? I mean, that is dedication. You could actually get all your trick-or-treat candy done
to hand out. I know.
To hand out just by going to one of those parties.
I just thought of that. That's hilarious. So you were not getting that kind of experience. You got like 12 pieces of candy, maybe 15. So, and that's why I'm like, you can't give out this little tiny promotional bag and 15 pieces of candy to every person.
Y'all, Disney does give you weird things on holidays. Like, for example, on Valentine's Day, we came back to our room to what I thought was a box of chocolates. And I even took it home thinking it was a box of chocolates. It was a heart-shaped loofah that was pre-soaped with the strongest smelling perfume I have ever witnessed. But that was their Valentine gift. So they do give out little things. I've heard of them putting 4-leaf clovers for St. Patrick's Day.
That'd be cute.
Thanksgiving, they have special menu, which I think would be cool to experience. So I think going on a cruise on any type of holiday is kind of fun. And I'm about to go on a cruise on Halloween Day. Oh my gosh.
Yay. They better give you candy.
Yes, on Halloween Day? Are you kidding me? I don't even get like a little fun-sized Snickers?
Well, you'll get a Dove bar.
That's what I was just about to say.
Okay, Steve, you didn't want to open the can of worms, but I'm going to.
But before you jump into that, let me just throw two things out before these comments go past. Kim says these abbreviated Halloween cruises are not good representations of what Halloween on the high seas usually are. I totally agree with you. If you could go on a longer one, I think that's better. Our 3-day one was kind of a whirlwind. And then she also, I think this is a good point too. One thought about no rotation on the Key to the World cards is maybe to give more flexibility for last minute changes to adjust capacity or better social distancing. Like if people are turned away at the port and it messes up the count. So that could be a possibility there too. It gives them more flexibility to kind of move around. Okay, Chris, I cut you off. Go ahead, Christy.
Oh, let me just talk about dining really quick. 2 more things. Our serving team did not, so that whole rotation did not have a second seating. So they only had to do the 1 seating. There wasn't enough people at late dining. And then I think I sent you a text while I was on the cruise, but when I got on, I was ordering my lunch from the head waiter at Cabanas. And then I was like turning away, and this other head waiter was standing there and like looking at me. It was the first head waiter we have ever had when Blake was an infant. He is now 8 on Disney Cruise Line. We've seen him through the years on different ships, and I don't know if he's ever been our head waiter since that day. Like we didn't just see him in Cabanas or something, but he came up and he was like, I was wondering if you would recognize me. And it was just the greatest exchange ever. So, and his name is Alberto, and they have apparently are talking to him. They might move him to the Wonder. So especially if you guys have allergies, if you see Alberto, he is phenomenal. And I love him so much. So anyway, it's just so great. He's literally watched my son grow up on Disney Cruise Line. And I had a face mask on, and it's been years since I've seen him, and he still recognized me.
Well, obviously you haven't changed a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, Chris, I cut you off, Chris. I want to give you the floor there. I'm sorry. Thank you for your patience.
Someone said what I wanted to say mostly, which is that this Key to the World thing is not a controversy. It is about change management, which Disney is not very good at. And what I mean by change management is they make changes, and Disney fans have real trouble with changes. And so they automatically have a bunch of people being like, this is terrible. But if you objectively just look at the change, it is so minor. Like the cruise that I went on, where they had to change the order of my dining and move me to a different slot and a different table number, someone pulled out a Sharpie and wrote all over my Key to the World card. And it annoyed me even more to see the Sharpie writing all over the front of my Key to the World card, because I'm like, I could keep that in my notes app. I could put it on a piece of paper and stick it onto the back. Like, there are ways that you can do that. So from just a change management, this is the most minor thing to be annoyed with. However, I do think it's operational, and I do think it benefits Disney and everyone eventually, which is Disney should be able to make last minute changes. And when you print something on a physical card, you can't make last minute changes. And right now, I guarantee you that with these room keys that they're putting in a little like fish extender slot on your door, and you don't even get it handed to you, the more flexibility they can have in that process, the better from an operational standpoint. I know people don't want to be on their phones the entire cruise, but to say that not knowing your dining rotation on your Key to the World card means you have to be on your phone for the entire cruise is just like not a reality. You don't have to be on your phone. You can write it on a piece of paper. You can memorize it. There are other options. So that's my small soapbox there, is that this is the smallest thing to be annoyed with. And if you go onto Disney Cruise Line like Facebook, there are thousands of comments about how inconvenient this is. And I'm just a little bit baffled.
They pushed that out to the travel agents yesterday. And so that meant it went to the bloggers and then the travel agents and all of that and their whole media list. That was the problem. If they had never pushed it out, it wouldn't be a discussion, because it's already, like I said, been on the fantasy for a couple of weeks. Has anybody talked about it? No.
Honestly, it's that www.net or whatever on Facebook. They take every small thing and make a story out of it because they're like desperate for.
But lots of people did. Like even
Yeah.
Scott with the Disney Cruise Line blog, he wrote a whole article about it.
Right.
I think that was
I
one
think-
that was posted to our group. Just don't push that stuff out. But anyway, let me answer. Unless, do you have anything more to say about that, Chris?
No, it was a
Okay.
small soapbox. I'm already off of it.
So Brian did ask in our Patreon group if room service is being handled the same way that they have post reopening and a restart. And it is. So the room service comes, they knock on the door, you open it with your mask on, hopefully, and they have your stuff and they ask you to remove it from their tray and bring it into your room. Now, on the Dream, which was hilarious, they would like call us 15 times to see, Dave even pointed this out, to see if we had our room service. Like, did it come? Did it come the way it was supposed to? Is everything okay with it? Like, we'd get several calls, which is very kind, right? And everything was fine. But on the fantasy, there wasn't a spot to leave a tip. Oh, this was my point, because Anthony just texted me that he's watching me live and texting me while I'm live. That's the problem. I was thrown off because of my text. I'm going to turn this phone over, Anthony. But anyway, on the Dream, it would pop up and ask for my tip. Like if I wanted to give one, which you should always want to give one to those people because they're tipped position, but they don't automatically get tips. So on the fantasy, it didn't pop up. And we ordered Mickey bars the one day, and it didn't occur to me to leave it. Like, I didn't think to give cash. I didn't have it out because on the Dream it popped out and I just left it through the app. This time I didn't have any cash. The thing never popped up after the guy left. But I was very easily able to go to guest services because I wanted to push out some money to additional money to our waiter in our room, our cabin steward. And I wanted to do it through my credit card. So I went to guest services and I said, I didn't get to tip my room steward guy. Is there a way, not room steward, but what am I trying
Room
to say?
service.
Room service, the room service guy. Can I do that? And he was like, oh, yep, right here. Here it is. This is the guy's name. How much do you want to, like, he printed out that little sheet. There's like a sheet that they can print out. We just write it in. Super simple. I'm so glad that that guy got a tip now. So, Brian, to answer your question, yes, they still deliver it. It's at your door. You have to grab it and bring it in. And maybe you can leave a tip through the app, or maybe you can't. But if you can't, you can always go to guest services and add it.
Can you order through the app?
No, that's a sad story, isn't it? No, you still have to call. It was very easy. It was very quick. They always said that it would be 15 to 20 minutes, by the way, for delivery. Because I think we got milk once too. And it was always 3 minutes. So I don't know if it'll always be 3 minutes, but just something to keep in mind. It was like 3 to 5 at the most each time we ordered. Definitely order Mickey bars, guys. They're still included. It's like the best value of an item that you can order through room service.
Chad says people love to be outraged, Chris. I think that is so true.
Oh my God, it's so true.
That's what's happening here. That is all. But Christy, when we talk about this cruise as sort of a first time on the Fantasy and all of this time, do you recommend? Was the experience great? Is it something you think other people should want to do?
Yes. And I booked the Fantasy again because I loved her so much. I was like, I've got to get back. And I didn't really have too much space to place her because I have way too many cruises booked. But we now booked it for next year over a major holiday. So I'm very excited and going to spend a whole week on her. I'm just so excited about that. I had a couple other notes. Captain Henry, hold on, because I know you have to go in 4 minutes, Steve. But Captain Henry was our captain. I think, and this is true, somebody else pointed this out somewhere, is he was the captain of the Wonder when it was doing its last 2-week cruise. Everybody on there said he was amazing. He was one of the most personable captains. We talked to him one night. Dave and I did. Blake was in the kids club. Oh my God, Blake loved the kids club so much. And for people listening again, yes, we had zero problems adding extra time for him. Sometimes it was like maybe be off, or we would have to bring them once it already had started because we couldn't get that start time to line up from where we wanted. So we would just make it where, we missed 20 minutes, but could still bring them. Sometimes we had to refresh it several times to like get it to accept our kids club time, but we were able to add lots of extra time. If Blake wanted to go to the kids club, I mean, we weren't going to fight it, of course. So he was having a blast in there. He also said, and I have to get back to Captain Henry, but he also said the kids club on the fantasy was his favorite because they had more like simulations. Like I think they had that driving the ship game. I don't know what any of these things are. You guys would know, but he said there were a lot more options. And back to Captain Henry. He was awesome. We got to talk to him once for like 15 minutes and maybe 10 minutes, whatever. It was a great conversation. He was a really personable, really, really nice guy. And Dave pointed out there were a lot more officers out this time than on the Dream we noticed. Like back in the atrium doing like the officer walk at the end of the night where they just stand around and talk to people. So that was fun.
I think that's awesome when they can get out there and kind of bring themselves out to everybody cruising. Because especially like Captain Henry doing that, being his personal leader. I saw quite a few pictures. I'm losing my voice. I saw quite a few pictures on Instagram where he was meeting with, getting selfies and stuff like that with people. So I love that. We do have one more question from Kim, and I think maybe you know this one, Christy. Sorry if I missed this. Do you think they're going to revert to the 7-day cruises when planned?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think they will.
Okay.
I think the CDC does have a thing where if you're doing a 7-day cruise, you have to get tested before returning. And so they will have to do testing during the cruise where they will have to, you set it up usually in your app where they'll tell you your time or something like that. But that is going to be a thing where there'll be COVID testing during the cruise.
Well, I guess, and I've got one last question. Any other tips for people that are going to be cruising here tomorrow, maybe, or in the future?
Bring your masks. One thing that we really did like too is using the, they were sold at Costco. They were almost like that neoprene type material. We would use that mask. I think, Steve, it was like your Under Armour or whatever brand, your mask that you really like a lot is, we would use those at the beach because inevitably you're going to get a tiny bit wet. And that one didn't seem to be as troubled like when you're at the beach. Now, this is only going to work for people going to Castaway, and you're going into the restroom, you're supposed to wear your mask, things like that. So we really liked those masks for our beach days specifically. The only other difference I would say is, or tips is, just enjoy it. Like, utilize this time to take pictures around the ship, take advantage of these things. There really, to me, isn't anything that I felt like I was missing out on because of the current experience. Some people are like talking about the characters not being as good. The characters are better than ever. Yeah, you have to wear a mask unless there's a photographer and they have you lined up in a certain way. You have to wear your mask to see them, but they're out there forever, just standing there. You get to talk to them for so long. It's the best. It is the best. And so if you're a character person, like, this is the time to cruise. And otherwise, it's the time to cruise anyway, because it's amazing.
Yeah, it does seem like that time when Walt Disney World first opened up and there wasn't a lot of people there. I was just looking at pictures from when we were there last August and there was like nobody in Hollywood Studios as our kids are walking around with the stormtroopers. So if you can get out there and do it, I know I want to get with Brian, if you're still there, all the best to you and your family tomorrow, fingers crossed, getting through those tests, getting on board. Thanks for all the pictures that you posted today, and feel free to post as much as you want this whole week. We love it. We got another good friend of the show that's going to be sailing on the Wonder this week as well. I know several others are sailing as Chris and I are on the Wonder, so look for some new trip reports coming from the Wonder soon too. So let's just kind of go around real quick. Chris, let's start with you if you want. Any final thoughts, anything going on with you, Disneyland? Just what are your final thoughts tonight?
Yeah, not much more exciting than that cruise coming up on Halloween. I am going to Disneyland next weekend. We booked a reservation in advance, as you do now as a Magic Key Pass holder. That being said, the Halloween parties at Disneyland are apparently huge success. The Oogie Boogie Bash is getting like rave reviews. They've added a lot of interesting, fun experiences. We've still never done one. I don't know. Maybe we will one day, but those upcharge events don't really feel that worth it to us. Typically, they've sold 6 upcharge events for Christmas at Disneyland, only 6, and they're still not sold out. They've been on sale for weeks.
Well, there you go.
The truth is, there are just not the same demand for additional parties here at Disneyland as there are at Disney World. But the Oogie Boogie Bash, a lot of folks are saying is 10 times better than the not so scary Halloween party at Disney World. So just throwing it out there. If you are at Disneyland in the month of October, that is a highly reviewed guest event that does sell out every single time.
And speaking of parties, Christy, you are off tomorrow and going to be enjoying the 50th celebration. What are you looking forward to?
I think I'm looking forward to the spirit of the event, right? Like just walking through the parks, being there at some point. I'm not going to do the fireworks at night at the park for a while. I'm still COVID aware and COVID conscious, right? Like it's still a concern. So for me personally, we are going to do some things. I'm going to go this weekend a few times and go to the parks and meet up with some friends and walk around and do some stuff. But the boys are not going yet. And we were in the parks today, though, and got to see Mickey in his new, not Mickey, but Minnie in her new little dress. And we got to see Goofy in his new 50th anniversary outfit. It was so exciting. I am excited about watching Enchantment, although I loved Happily Ever After. I loved it so much. And so I'm excited about that. And other than that, I'll, try to post some pictures. I'm not going to spend too much time at the park this weekend, but I will definitely be up there a little bit.
Well, just have a wonderful time. And if you're not following Christy over at Pack Your Pixie Dust on Instagram and everywhere else she is, make sure you're doing that so that you can follow along with some of her photos as well. I'll try and grab a couple of them. I've got tomorrow off, so I'll try and grab them, the ones that I find, and throw them up on our page as well. So thanks to all our Patreon fans out there. Thanks for everybody who joined us tonight. Thank you for all you guys do to support our podcast. We, all 3 of us, totally appreciate it. We could not be here without you. So thank you. All the best, everybody sailing here soon. And we'll see you next week with another fun episode on the DCL podcast. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
The DCL podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.